So one of the most important men to the globalist push, also one of the most important men to really be a part of a long-term service to our country, one that I personally don't agree with too much, issued a warning right before he died, stating if he could change some things, this is where some mistakes were made. Now, this gentleman, again, still pushes and still pushed for an international world, not as we look at it, saying, okay, we won't have sovereignty, sovereignty, sovereignty. But he still said this was a grave mistake. Let's jump into what he said. Today's video starts right now.
Be free with me. Be free.
Hey guys, welcome to the Max. Thank you so very much for being here today. We are inside. If you hear the thunder and lightning through the window there, it is absolutely crazy weather here. We've had a lot of storm damage, not as much right in our area, but in this vicinity, we've seen a lot of storm damage. So far, we hadn't lost power, so I'm glad of that. But today we're inside. I'm sorry. He was even too loud to be on the porches and in the trucks. So you're stuck with me indoors. Now, today let's discuss what Henry Kissinger said. Now, that name is very important to a Secretary of State and the globalist movement, the move away from gold. His name is a part of that. Was the teacher of Klaus, who developed the wealth. There's a lot of implications of what this guy did and a lot of implementations of things that he did that moved to maybe not having sovereign borders. Even though he was the Secretary of State, he pushed for negotiations to where it seemed like he was always wanting kind of this bigger, broader government than what we had. But he did make one comment before he died. He died at 100 just a few months ago, actually the end of 23. But he saw the Russia-Ukraine war come to fruition. He saw the Hamas attack. And he had this to say I thought was really good. And I think what he says as a 100-year-old man who probably has gained a lot of wisdom over his life, even when he made mistakes, I think we should listen, because that is a warning that really implements us, especially when we talk about yesterday with the Chicago building raising the Palestinian flag over the American flag. So I want you to listen to what he says. He was 100 years old. He said, "It was a grave mistake to let so many people of totally different cultures and religions and have the concepts of thinking that we could put them all together, because it creates a pressure inside a group and a pressure inside a country that could cause a painful transition." Now, what he is saying is, for instance, when Hamas attacked Israel, there was people in the streets in Germany congratulating this. And that's what really prompted him to say this. He said that Berlin may have let in too many migrants. And when we see that people are in a different country literally congratulating terrorism in another country, he said that shows that we may have went too far. We may have made a grave mistake. Now, here's where I want us to heed this warning, but then we need to learn from these kind of people. First of all, if he's saying that this is a mistake, someone who pushed this kind of movement of people, then it shows that we probably shouldn't be allowing it to happen so prevalent here in America. America is allowing tons of immigration to our country that is illegal. Now, the thing is, you're like, well, just a few people, their work visas, things like that. We're talking millions upon millions on a strained system, which is causing more of a polarizing detachment from reality. We're going through that same painful situation because you have a very strong sense of saying globalist movement, then you have a very strong conservative movement of national movement saying America first. So there is polarization there. So as he was saying, this is painful to watch and it will cause demise of countries. What did Abraham Lincoln say years ago? The problem with America, I'm paraphrasing here, is that we will not face enemies without. We will probably face enemies within, and we will see an implosion of our own selves. We will be the cause of our own demise. And we're seeing that. We're allowing so many people in to where we have different areas, especially in our cities, where they're raising other countries' flags. And those other countries' flags are right now representing, for instance, Hamas, who is a terrorist group who is killing people. Now, no matter what side of the aisle you're on, everybody has picks. I mean, like, for instance, I think of college football. This is probably a terrible analogy, but we have rivalries in states. And so, therefore, we have opinions. But it does not change who we are. We're still Americans. We're still Mississippians, even though we like two different teams. We're still Alabamians, even though we like two different teams. You have those state teams and their rivals. The difference in the fight we're seeing now, though, is we're seeing that people are not just saying, okay, we're all Americans, but we support this and this. They're actually saying, we detest America, we stand for this. That's where the problem is. We can love and support other countries. The problem is if you do not come back to the stableness of America being the first country you support, and that you will literally raise the flag for over any other flag, then that's the problem. So now we're seeing the grave mistake that we're making, that we're allowing, our politicians are allowing these groups to come in and infiltrate our schools, infiltrate our lives, infiltrate our cities. All the while, what we're actually doing is we're seeing the implosion of America. Now, here's the thing. What does that do? That infuriates the nationalist group, the group that wants America first. At the same time, it helps promote the detestable flavor of America to the people who don't want to like America. So now we're building a polarizing force to where we have people who truly hate America and don't see the blessings and benefits they've gotten from living in freedom, which I challenge these people to go abroad and go to these other countries and just simply see how bad it is, so you'd be thankful. They take America for granted, by the way. And then you see the people who are saying enough is enough. So it's so polarized to where we're seeing almost an implosion of our own country, where you see conservatives saying we're not going to college, to these Ivy League schools. We see liberals saying that conservatives don't deserve the right to have some of these freedoms, such as 2A rights, 1A rights, so let's censor, let's ghost. So we're building that now, and it's the warnings coming from this person stating this is a big mistake. Now that's the warning we should heed, but here's the thing I want us to learn. When we repeat over repeat over repeat, we can't use the same thing of saying, well, we're just dumbfounded to it. It's kind of like our elections with Atlanta. They came out and said that there was like 300,000 missing votes. There's been several states missing votes. There's been times where they're worried about people that are voting that's not really legal citizens. We see the mistake, then we should learn from it and not keep making the same mistake. So if we allow the same kind of atrocities that happened in 2020, we're probably going to get the same results for 2024, no matter how good Trump is polling in the polls. We have to realize we have to change and swing the pendulum away from this movement. If we see it's a problem with a grave mistake, in the words of Kissinger, to have so many immigrants coming over in mass migration and trying to put this big melting pot of all these different religions and different people groups, then we need to learn from that. So, you know what, if we're listening and heeding his warning, then we stop doing what we're doing and stop moving people around and stop trying to be the police of the world. I mean, that basically is what that's saying. Let us be a sovereign nation. Let these people be a sovereign nation. Let these people be a sovereign nation, and let them deal with what they want to deal with. If we can help them and be able to loan them things, great, they pay us back. If we're able to need help and these people come alongside and help us during a disaster relief, great, let them help. There's times that we can utilize help across the world. That's what allies do. Trade partners, that's great. But when we say, okay, we're basically going to just let people go all over, what we're actually doing is we're building an implosion to most nations that happens to. Look at Europe, prime example. Look at Germany. The people of Germany, the people of all these countries, especially in Western Europe, they're saying, we're really worried about the migration problems. Greece came out and said that 80% of their population is against this mass migration. 80%. However, they're still allowing it to happen because their leadership are under the words and under the lineage of people like Kissinger and Klaus Schwab. So if they can make a problem, then they can come, and that civil unrest brings in more regulation, more overreach of maybe government or non-government agencies, or the chaos controls the population, and then you have lords over them, basically. I think that's exactly what Soros is doing. He is making countries struggle, so it makes him look better. You build this kind of this totalitarian look of the world, to where they're almost this powerful, rich elite, and then there's the people that are almost like slaves to the whole world. And that's exactly what we've done. We've made two-class citizens, the lords and the serfs again. And we're doing this across many places. We're doing this across many cultures, many countries. all because we're allowing mass migration to take place and we're not having sovereignties of borders. So let's learn from grave mistakes of our past to do better for our future. Our children are being raised, so if we can gain wisdom, do a little research, understand where the mistakes were made, so we will have better reasoning as we move forward. The problem is our politicians are still listening to those people from the past, haven't learned their lesson, and we're still going down the same downhill slope that we've been going down to, and it's not getting any better. We've got to stop this mass migration across nations. I think of all the wars, all the conflicts that we're seeing and facing all across the world is dealing with people groups not liking other people groups in the areas that they're in. Well, if we stop doing all this mass migration and stop moving people and policing the world, we would probably solve a lot of that. Sovereign borders, protected borders. That's one thing that America could learn for sure. Let's learn from what Kissinger said. Let's see the warning he gave to Europe. And now, let's start actually doing it. So, I don't think Biden's going to do it, but I hope, if November comes and when it comes with voting, I hope that we can see Trump move right back in. And I hope the Republicans will actually stand with him and do something about the border. Let me know your thoughts. These kind of things are eye-opening to me because I'm thinking people who even believed in this globalist push is now saying we may have made a grave mistake. Let me know your thoughts. God bless. Happy homestead, y'all.
Be free, be free.